Hey everyone, Shadows here. Today I'm showing you how to port and texture Apex Legends models from the game files over to Blender. For the porting part we're going to be using Legion, and for the texturing part we're going to be using the shader made by Core Arts, who will be linked in the description below. So the first thing you have to do is go to the link in the description below where you can download Legion, which is the software we're going to be using to go inside the packed files of Apex Legends, grab out the models and put them into Blender. So once you load the website, there's a little download link area down here. Click this button here and it will instantly download the newest version of Legion. Legion will be updated every now and then. Right now, version 2.0 was just released with a new UI, a bit like UModel. But by the time you're watching this video, there'll probably be a newer version out. So if your Legion stops working, make sure to just download the newest version. Make sure you're always updated. So once you have this zip file, literally just open it up with WinRAR or whatever you use on your computer. And there'll be a eula.txt, which nobody really reads, do they? And the legion.exe. So just drag the legion.exe anywhere you really want. I'm just going to drag it to my desktop quickly. And I can close this and delete this zip file here. Now, with Legion, it does create a few files when you run it. It creates a exported files folder, which is where all the stuff that you export is going to be. So we're just going to create a new folder, and we're just going to call it Legion. You can call it whatever you want. I'm just going to chuck it right there on my desktop, and I'm going to drag Legion inside. So we can open up this folder and just double click Legion to run it, and there'll be a little pop-up screen, and the application will start running. So it might look something completely different by the time you're watching this video, but right now, this is what the software looks like. And all you need to do is literally just click load file and load your pack files. But this might sound quite self-explanatory, but make sure you have Apex Legends installed on your computer before you try and do this. If your computer can't run it, then you can't port models. You have to have the game installed on your computer, because otherwise it's not going to get the pack files from anywhere. So all you need to do with this software, click load file, and it will automatically take you to your packs folder. If you can't find your packs folder, if it doesn't automatically take you there, all you need to go is Windows C, your Windows drive. It should be, unless you saved it anywhere else, it should be in your program files times 86, x86 or whatever. Go down to Origin Games, which is down here, Origin Games, Apex, the packs folder, PAKS, and Win64. And here will be all of your pack files, including RPack, but we can't open the star pack files, but the RPack files we can open. Might sound confusing, but just basically here are the files that you're going to need to open. Now these files with like 41 kilobytes, 51 kilobytes, they're not going to have basically anything in. They're going to basically be empty. So what you're going to have to do is go to the size, click this, so it organizes them from the biggest size to the smallest size. So these bigger ones, they'll have more stuff in them, and the smaller ones down here like 1 kilobyte, they're basically going to contain like an image. You don't really want any of that. And the problem with this is that the models are a bit spread out between pack files. So if you're looking for a model, you'll have to look for a few pack files. Anyway, before we open any files, we're going to close this quickly and go to the settings and adjust these quickly. So general settings, this is what it actually loads from the pack files. So you can load all of the models, images, materials, and animations. Or if you're only looking for some models, you can just untick these and only load models. Or if you want the models and the textures, you can just double click both of those. Or if you just want animations, tick that. You can basically do whatever you want with that, but we're just going to load all of it so I can show you everything. And this export format here, you're going to have to use SE model. These other models, OBJs don't have the bones, so if you're looking for a model with bones like a character that you want to pose, you can't really export an OBJ. SMD is quite low quality sometimes, like low poly, and FBX sometimes bugs, so SE model is the way to go. I'll be showing you a plugin that you can install into Blender to import these. So make sure SE model is ticked. And for the export format, most people say use DDS, but I find PNG much easier because you can actually edit them in a Paint software or Photoshop or whatever. I say PNG is the best way to go. So make sure your settings look something like this with SE model and PNG, and then whatever you want to actually load. Now you can just close this, load file, and load your pack files. So the common is where most of the characters and weapons are stored. This Canyonlands and Desert Lands. Canyonlands is the name for the Season 1 map and Season 2 map. I've honestly forgot the name. It's not World's Edge, I've honestly forgot the name already. But Desert Lands is World's Edge, and Canyonlands is just the first map. So if you're looking for any walls or anything, or any props from the first map, they'll be in Canyonlands. And if you're looking for anything from the new map, it will be in Desert Lands. Anyway, we're going to go and open our common folder, common pack. So this common pack right here, it will open every single other common pack. Any of these commons you can just open, and it'll open all of these ones that have common in the name as well. So we're just going to double click on this common 01, which is 102,000 kilobytes. We're just going to double click this, and it will start loading package. And as you can see, it's loaded 18,000 assets, which is quite a lot, and this will be a lot to look through. So there's a search tool here. I'm going to show you a few of the code names for some of the stuff. So if you're looking for a legend, like a character, just search pilot and all of the legends will pop up. These have pilot underscore and then medium, large or heavy or whatever. This similar to Fortnite, but it's either medium, heavy or light. So pilot is for characters. For weapons, it's just weapon W underscore. Search this and here will be all the weapons. If you scroll down a bit, W underscore. Here are all the weapons and all the sort of accessories and stuff. Weapons are down here, W underscore, and anything else is sort of just random names. So you're gonna have to just search. Like if I want a, for instance, a drone, we can search this, and here's Crypto's drone and stuff. But I'm gonna show you a very neat feature. So if we go to just a pilot or a random pilot, we're just gonna go with the Caustic Halloween. Why not? So here we have this Caustic Halloween model. All you have to do, hovering over a model, press P, and it will bring up a model preview, a bit like UModel, but you can actually have these as separate tabs. And or to move around in this, you can scroll wheel to zoom in and out, Alt and the middle scroll wheel, the middle button on the scroll wheel to move like this, and Alt and the left click to move around. So you can zoom in and move up like this. Just make sure you click holding Alt while you're like using left click to move around, or the middle mouse button to actually move like this. And here is the model. So if we just, it's a bit hard to move around in here, I don't know why you have to click Alt, but that is the model. And the neat thing with this is we can just switch between models and they switch like this, so you can just view what sort of model you're exporting. With animations you can't actually view them yet, or images, but there'll be a feature soon where you can do that. So I can just switch between these models, choose whatever one I want to export. Here's the Season 2 Legendary, here's the Christmas, the Season 4 Gibraltar, yeah, I was going to say that to piss some people off because people get annoyed when I say that. And here's the Christmas Pathfinder, and basically here are the new Revenant skins that we weren't able to export until now. And just pilots, here's all the pilots, and I'm going to show you some weapons as well. So if we go W underscore, we're just going to scroll down a bit here. Here's the Hemlock, it's a bit smaller, but there's the Hemlock with all the upgrades. Where with guns, they actually export with the upgrades on, so you have to delete these in Blender after. They're all separate meshes, but you just have to delete this if you want the standard Hemlock. There's also the Hemlock skins, so there's the BH skin, don't know what that is, Deco, the legendary skins, there's all the skins in here. Basically anything you want to find is in here, you just need to look for it. So if you need any help looking for anything, make sure to head over to my Discord server in the description below. 3D Art Discord, we've got over 5,000 members at the moment. Oh shit. Over 5,000 members at the moment. If you scroll down to Legion chat, you can look in here, talk in here if you're looking for anything in specific, and also the porting chat if you need it. But Legion chat, this will be where you can ask any questions about porting for Apex Legends. Anyway, if we just close this, here is our Legion. We're going to export a random character, so I can show you the bones and stuff. We're going to export one of these Revenants, I think, because they're quite neat skins and they haven't been able to export since for quite a while. So I think we're just going to export this one right here. Why not? All you have to do is just double click on it and it will export. That's basically all you have to do. If you want to export a bunch of stuff at one time, just select it all. I think you can just drag over it somehow. I thought there was a way. I think you can just, yeah, just click on one and then shift click on another one down here and it will select everything. And you can click export selected or export all and just export everything, which might be a bit laggy for you. Anyway, we've exported this. There's even more down here, like there's the POV underscore pilots. Ignore these, just make sure that it's just pilot underscore medium underscore light underscore heavy. It's quite confusing, so if you have any issues, make sure to go to my Discord server like I said. Anyway, now that we've exported this, we can just close this. The textures actually export with the model, so it doesn't really matter. If we go to the Legion folder right now and the exported files, we can go to models, and here is our pilot underscore heavy underscore revenant legendary. Here's the model, and here are all the textures. With Apex, the textures aren't actually named, which is a bit of a shame, so it is quite hard to find the textures you need, but I've got quite a nice trick to find them. Anyway, I'm going to close this, and you're going to go to the link in the description below where you can download the IO underscore model underscore SE model, which is the way you can import SE models into Blender. So all you have to do, load up this link, and where it says clone or download, click the little drop down arrow and click download zip. Once you've done that, we're going to head over to Blender, we're just going to load it up, and then we can install the plugin. I've already got it on my desktop right here. I've already got it on my desktop, IO underscore model underscore SE model, whatever. Make sure you have that downloaded. When you go into Blender, you can click edit, you can click preferences, and then you go to the add-ons tab, click install, and then just find the zip folder i_model_se model. I'm going to double click that, and here is the plugin. So we can just click this, tick this little box here, and now we can go file, import, and we can import SE models. So if we click this, we can literally import. If we go to our desktop, wherever we exported it, so wherever your Legion folder is, Legion, exported files, models, and whatever you exported, and then the .se model. So double click this, and it's loaded in. This is the Revenant right now. We're just going to delete everything else in our scene because we don't need it. And here it is. Now it looks a bit weird. If we go to rendered, if we go to viewport, then there will already be a bit of textures on it. It does have textures. This is only the D texture, the albedo texture, but we're gonna have to add a few more in a minute. The bones look really weird as well. The way to fix this is just click on the bones, select them, go over to the object data properties where it has like the little green character, viewport display, and just untick shape. So now they look like normal bones. We can also rotate this just 90 degrees so it's on the floor. So it's not on the floor, so it's just upright. And here we are. Here is our model in Blender. It's got textures on it, but we're going to texture it much better, because right now, if we render, if we just go to cycles or Eevee, whatever, it doesn't look amazing. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, but we're going to make it look so much better with the proper texturing. So we're just going to click on a part of the body. We're going to texture just the body. If we go over to shading, here it is, Revenant body _ Nordic. These are all the textures. These are all the materials for the actual skin. So there's the body, the fur, the grenade, the head, the joints, the jump kit, and the tactical. So I'm just going to texture these for you right now. I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to be using Core's shader. So Core, go follow him on Twitter. He made the shader for today's video. With the shader, once you have it downloaded, there'll be a link in the description below. Apex Legends shader by Core Art. So you can just go to this Google Drive link and click download. With this Google Drive link, what you need to do is, once you've downloaded it as a blend file, in your Blender file, click File, Append, and then go to the Apex Legends shader by Core Arts, double click on that, go to the node tree folder, and just double click on Core's Apex shader. Now you'll have it in your Blender. Nothing will really change, but you can actually now add the shader. So if we go to the shading tab and we click add, we can search, and we can search Core's Apex shader. So if we bring this in here, it looks quite complicated, but I'll explain everything in a minute. With this principal BSDF, just delete that, we don't need it anymore. The texture will turn black, but just don't worry about this. Drag the Core's Apex shader over here and plug the BSDF into the surface of the material output. Now everything will turn a bit white, it will look very weird. All we're going to have to do is plug the colour of the texture that's already there into the albedo. Now it still looks a little bit weird, but the textures have sort of changed. You can tell they've gone semi back to normal. We've got to add every single other texture from there into this material. So if we go up in this little corner up here, this little corner, we're just gonna go back, or just keep on going back until you find like the desktop folder. So keep on going back until you find the desktop or wherever you've exported your model. If we just double click on desktop and then onto the Legion folder, find your Legion folder up here basically, and then we're gonna go to exported files, models, the model we exported, images, and here are all the textures for the model, and we can see them like a little preview. So we're gonna go view, display size, we're going to change it to large so you can actually see the proper texture, quite large. Now we're going to find the name from this texture in here, so 0x7bb. So 0x7bb, here it is right here, 0x7bb. Now there are a total of 6 textures right now. There's nearly going to be a 7th texture, which I might make an update for on the future. There's 6 textures for Apex characters. There's the albedo, the specular, the glossy, the normal, the AO, and the emission. And there's also going to be a cavity texture in the future, but I'm not going to talk about that in today's video. It's quite complicated. Now we're going to find each of these textures. So if we look at this, memorize this right now, memorize the sort of patterns. There's 2 little dots in the corner, there's a dot down here. Just memorize some sort of pattern. There's like a cross there. We need to find this texture somewhere else now, so we're going to scroll down and we're just going to find it. So there's one right here. This is the emission texture, because it's only got a little bit lit up. This is really hard to explain, but if you need any help, make sure to go to my Discord like I said. So this is the emission texture, because as you can see, if you go to here, you can see the patterns match up. So there's a little square there, there's a little square on here. It's quite hard to sort of tell, but you can tell there's like 6 dots up in the corner, 6 dots up in the corner, and then here there's 6 dots up in the corner. So we're just going to drag this in. This is the emission texture. We're just going to close this down, and we're going to plug this yellow one. We're going to plug this yellow one into emission, and these 2 emissions. So they're actually emission color and just emission in general. We're going to plug that into both. So just drag into both of them. Now the emission will show up on the skin, so you can see the little glow. So when we render, that will glow. Anyway, that's the emission texture. Now we're going to go to the end texture. So the end texture, like Fortnite, is sort of like a greeny, either greeny or blue. It looks something like this. It does not look anything like the actual diffuse texture, but it is the same texture. If we scroll up to the emission, for example, there's 6 little dots in the corner. There's 6 little dots in the corner on this texture. So this must mean that this is the normal texture. So if you're looking for the normal, look for something green, something blue, roughly like that. The normal makes a big difference on the actual character. So if we close this, we got to turn the normal texture to non-color. So when you're bringing in this green one, turn it to non-color, close it, and now you can plug this into the normal. Now this will change a lot. This will make it look much better. As you can see right now, this looks much better, much more like normal. Now we've got to find the specular, the glossy, and the AO. So we're going to keep on scrolling down until we find the next one. These look nothing like the 6 dots in the corner or anything like that. We're going to keep on scrolling down until we find something similar. Alright. So this one right here, I know that this is the glossy texture. I'm going to tell you how I know that. So of course we know it's the body because there's 6 little dots in the corner. The patterns match. There's a little cross there like we talked about. There's a dot and there's the dots around. I know this is the body texture, but I know this is the glossy because I know this is the glossy because it's completely grey. With the specular texture, it has a bit of colour in, but the glossy texture only has grey. So we're going to drag this in, we're going to turn it to non-colour, and then we're going to plug it into glossy. Now the specular texture, the AO texture looks completely different. I'll be able to tell that in a minute, but the specular texture looks quite similar to this, but it just has a little bit of colour. So right now this is completely grey, but if we try and find the specular texture, it has a tiny bit of colour. So we keep on scrolling down until we find something similar. Here is the specular texture. As you can see, it looks the same. It's got the 6 little dots in the corner. It's got the dot down there, the little cross there. It's like grey, but it's also got a little bit of colour. You can see the gold and the yellow. So if we just drag this in, this is the specular. So you don't have to change it to non-colour. You can keep it as sRGB. Plug that yellow dot into specular, and now it should pop up, and it should add on to the skin, and it will look much better. This will look nicer now. Now we just need to find the AO texture, which is a sort of white and black. This is an example of an AO texture. It's not for the body, it's something else, but that's an AO texture. So we're going to keep on scrolling down. This is the AO texture for the body. You can see the 6 dots in the corner, the little dots down here, the cross there. The AO texture is completely black and white. It's got white with black outlines. It's got a tiny little bit of grey on it, but it's mostly black and white. You'll be able to tell this from the other textures. So just drag it in, change it to non-colour, close this, and plug it into the AO. So now we have fully textured this body. This body is fully textured. If we go just to render, it will look very nice, like so. With the glow, it's got the actual texturing properly. It's properly textured, and now we just got to texture everything else, which is a bit of a pain, but you've basically got to go through the same process that I just did with the body, but with the other parts. So now next we're going to do the fur, because it's so much easier than the body, because the fur's got a separate size. Like this is a square, this is like a rectangle, this is for the fur. So we're just gonna do the principle like we did last time, keep the texture in here, and add the cause apex shader. We're gonna drag that, put it in there, BSDF connected to surface, and the color connected to albedo. We're gonna close this. This is the D texture plugged in already. Now we're gonna find the rest of the textures. So we're gonna go back up to the top. Straight away, I know this is the normal texture because it's like greeny and it's got the same pattern. It's got the same pattern of the fur, it's the right size. We're going to drag this in here, change it to non-color, and then connect it to the N texture, the normal. So we connect that properly. We're going to keep on scrolling down. This is the AO texture, it's completely black and white. We're going to drag this in, change it to non-color, and then we're going to connect it to the AO, like so. Now we're going to keep on scrolling down until we find the next texture for this. Going to keep on scrolling down. The next texture is going to be this is the roughness texture, the glossy, and when I say roughness I mean glossy. Glossy and roughness are the same thing. So this is the glossy because it's completely grey, doesn't have any colour in it. the specular will have colour in it. So this is the roughness or the roughness or glossy. Glossy has no colour. Remember that, it's completely grey, has no colour. So we're going to change this to non-colour. We're going to drag it down here and connect it into glossy. Now we're going to keep on scrolling down like so. That is the D texture, remember, because that's the one we have right there, 0xb551, 0xb551. Keep on scrolling down until we find the next one, which is right here, I hope, please. This is, okay, now some textures have the same, very similar, specular and glossy. This is one of them, so that looks quite similar. If we scroll up to the top, that looks quite similar to that. Now you're sort of just gonna have to try both of them and see which one looks better. So let's try plugging this into specular and see if it looks alright. Now that looks fine. Let's try the other way around. So let's change this to sRGB and plug it into specular and change this to non-color and plug it into the glossy. Yeah, the glossy. Now that looks a little bit better. I'd say that's the right way around. You sort of don't have to mess around if they look the same. There's not really a way to tell the difference, but yeah, that's the way to do that. And now we just need the emission, but there is no emission for this, so now that is fully textured. So we've got two bits of the body fully textured, the fur and the body. I'm just going to quickly texture the head and the rest of it, so back in 2 seconds. Alright, I'm back and I've fully textured this. I just did the exact same thing that I did before with every single one of the materials. So the head, the fur, I did in the tutorial as well, and the body. And I also did the jump kit at the back, this little jump kit here that they use to fly in the game. Don't play the game too much, but I know some stuff about the game. So here is a fully textured Apex model. We can literally just, if we merge all these parts, you don't even have to do this, but I find it so much easier if we just merge all these meshes, because there's quite a few of them. Merge them all, click Control J. You don't have to do this, but I just like to do that. And then you can click pose, and you can just move these bones, pose them however you like. You can, don't know why it's so laggy, but you can move their arms like this. You can move their heads. You can basically do whatever you want. Now please don't just make some generic Fortnite thumbnails and chuck an Apex character in it as well. Make some nice art with this, and if you need any help with this porting or just opinions on Apex art, anything to do with 3D designing, head over to my Discord, like I said in the description below. Legion chat if you're struggling with textures or porting Apex Legends models, and there's an opinions and post your art chat if you need to post any of your Apex work to show off to the community. Anyway, thank you for watching this tutorial. Sorry if it wasn't too easy to follow. Remember, need help, Discord, I'm going to plug that quite a lot. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.